Number 4.
Here it is.
Here it is.
I feel like we're in some sort of standoff right now. I'm trying not to laugh.
Are you famous yet? Famous yet?
Nah. You?
Are you famous yet? Right, I'm going to start off the topic with this, actually.
Yeah.
I heard your song while in Bath.
Crazy.
Which was...
In like a cafe or?
It was in a pizza place that I've been a couple of times with my good friend. I was sat there with a wifey. And, it was... Wait, dance, remember how they used to be.
Nice.
Banger.
Thank you, sir.
Even better with a beer and a pizza.
There you go. No, that's crazy. I've actually, to be fair, since the last podcast, a couple of famous-y things have happened. You text me about that.
Mate, you when you walked into the studio, you were like, some shit's happened.
Yeah.
Go on, what famous-y things? What would you count as famous-y things?
Well, someone just came over in my local pub in South London, and just really nice guy, just came over and just went, I was with my wife. And he just
You
came
have
up
to say he's a nice guy, though, because you might listen to your podcast.
Yeah, true. True, very true.
Absolute
tosser. But no, he came over really polite. Said, sorry to interrupt. I just want to say I'm a massive fan of your music. Just like shook my hand, and then I tried to get some chat going, and he was just like, I'm just going to go now. And
Hey,
he was just there with his dad.
That stuff is wicked.
Which was very cool.
That is very cool.
And the other main thing that's happened in the last month is that I've announced these Japan shows.
Yeah, man.
Which
Big.
I actually think I'm potentially, I'm not going to say I'm famous in Japan, but I think I seem to do better in Japan than here, because the amount of shows I'm doing there will be like the most people I've played to.
What's the cap there?
It's like 250, but I'm doing 4 shows.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So
What, like one after another?
it's
as in like same
twice,
venue?
2 in a day, yeah. They do like an early and a late.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I think it's like a jazz thing. They do like a matinee.
Mate, that's
and then a night
mental.
thing. So
That's wicked, though.
yeah. So some famous-y stuff has happened in
That's
the last
pretty
month.
famous.
It's been good. It's been good. How's your month been?
Mate, good, man. Good. Can't complain. Been feeling good. Baby things. Found out we're having a little boy.
Woo!
Yeah, which is exciting.
Very.
I've started to pick up the guitar a lot more. I picked up the guitar last night,
Yeah.
and in my head, I was like, I should probably write the theme tune. And I didn't.
You beat me to it.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I started to write a little song.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And the way that I've been kind of going with writing recently is I've cut the longer I leave it, to get back in the studio and write something, the more I feel like I was writing back in the day, like back when I was uni and I was just writing for me.
Right.
Instead of, I felt like I got into this hole, especially like during trying to get signed or getting signed and then still trying to please other people and blah, 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 and writing for other people to make sure I could still have a career.
Yeah.
So I wrote a lot for other people.
Yeah.
And then, so I kind of got lost in that spiral, but I feel like I'm writing for me now, which is really nice.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Do you know what I find?
Little glimpses.
Yeah. Love to hear that, man. I think what's really interesting is trying to get back to that place where songwriting is just a natural thing. It's not something you think about.
Yeah.
So like I remember with Addy Suleiman, who we both know, a mutual friend, great artist. We'll get him on at some point. We lived together in uni. Like every now and then I'd be playing the guitar. You go, oh, what's that? I go, oh, I don't know. It's just a little thing. Yeah. Became like a single, you know, a couple of times. Yeah. That happened a couple of times, which was awesome. So then when we graduated, we were like, oh man, let's find a place together. Let's go somewhere. So we decided to go to Nottingham, which is near where he was from, because it was kind of halfway between Liverpool and London. We were like, let's go and just write songs for like a year. Mm-hmm. And we went there and just wrote nothing. I think in a year there was one song called Say So that came out of that whole period of living together. But it was that thing of like going from, oh, what's that causing? And then just like writing some lyrics and not even deeping it too much. So actually, you know, he had a bit of interest then as well, which is maybe subconsciously part of it.
Write,
Now it's like, oh, we're actually here to write. Let's like get up in the morning. Let's write a song today.
Yeah.
There's
something different about that. It can affect the way that you write it because you're not doing it. Well, I like to say, it's still feel very privileged to be able to,
for sure,
to get to write songs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
I
know there's a certain place we have to go. You know, but we still had interest from labels and we still got to write songs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was a difference between writing for pleasure, purely pleasure, of just getting like girls' attention.
Yeah.
And then writing to try and, because now you've broken through a little bit, and now my dad wasn't going, oh yeah, well, you'll never make it. He was like, but you could make it. And then now I had pressure, and then everyone kind of sees you as this like blue tick. I've got blue tick on Instagram.
Yeah, that's it, man. Which inevitably is going to be in your mind somewhere, whether it's at the front or back.
Yeah.
And
but now I don't have those pressures, which is nice.
That's sweet, man.
And I've just
gone
been
full
picking up
circle.
guitar for me. It's nice. But the reason why we wanted to start this podcast as well is just so we can still talk about doing music. And I know you're still going to have a career in it, but for me personally anyway, it's just like, and now I get to go through this journey of getting back on the saddle and writing songs again and talking to you about it, which is so nice to just flush out feelings and shit, man.
It is, man. I do look forward to these episodes, man.
It's nice. All right, so we're not famous yet.
No.
Have anyone reached out to you about the podcast? Is there any questions that we should
My
acknowledge?
dad said he liked it.
Yeah.
And
My
a couple
mum
of
said
random
she liked
people,
it.
like I had this session thing come up this week, and then I was like, I can't do Tuesday, I've got the podcast, and these producer duo just like, oh, no worries, mate, love the podcast, by the way. Little
mate,
things like that.
sick.
Was like, like people, it's just nice to know that people are listening to it, because we very much just did it for kind of our own pleasure, but also
we did it. Yeah, we did it for us.
purely for us. Stop listening. No, but it's like also to serve as something that would be insightful, I guess, and interesting and hopefully useful to some people, right?
Man, exactly.
But
and we've got some exciting sessions ahead as well.
We have. We've got Mr. Joe Hertz in today, who I was saying I was a huge fan of growing up.
Did he have a track? Who's he running a track with?
Oh man, huge people. He's actually got a track with Sophie, who we had on last month.
Mental.
I can't think who the biggest person is, but yeah, he's got tracks.
Some,
with
I was listening the other day in the car, so he's producer,
artist producer, like
artist
similar
producer,
to myself.
right? Singer.
I'm not sure, I think
I listened to a track and I thought it was him singing.
Oh, might have been.
But I might be wrong because I might be wrong. Okay, cool.
Well, shows how much research we do on this podcast, guys.
If we get you on, we won't listen to you.
Yeah, we'll just chat. All right, he's outside.
All right, perfect. All right, well, that was our catch up.
Let's get him in.
Cut. I've pressed record.
And thus
the cameras
we're
are
here.
recording.
Episode 4.
I've got the 3 recording. Have you told?
Amazing.
We haven't said on the podcast yet that I did the video thing, did I? But no, I've done it right this time.
Oh yes. Do you want me to tell the listeners that you've set up the video in case we don't have it?
Just, I might not have released music for a good couple of years, but I've got my camera game up.
Yeah.
Well, they might say actually no because of how bad quality one of the cameras might be. Anyway, hello.
Joe Hertz, welcome to the show.
Thank you for telling me about the dress code.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, matching with the chair.
He is.
You look good. You look
He's in
good. Thank
sync.
you for jumping on, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
for
this is the
having
first
me.
time that you and me have met.
Yes.
But you've known Ed for a while.
Yes, I've known Ed for a while. I'm a bit of a hermit, man. Like I stay in the studio, so like I've seen your name pop up as well over the years. And
I've seen yours. Yeah.
Likewise, it's the life of a producer.
Yeah,
staying in the
of course.
studio.
Because I listened to one of your tracks, but I didn't know you were just on the production side, so I thought you were a singer as well. But do you kind of like dabble?
Yeah, I've had that. People reaching out and being like, "Do you want to feature on this? Do you want to?" I'm like, "You think I'm a singer, don't you?" No, it's yeah.
Have you never ventured that far?
I have actually, like on "Kiss from the Sun," my last EP. I put some vocals on that, but it's like very much a new sort of thing. If I'm hearing an idea and I just sort of like can get it working like as a sample, then
That's class.
That's the thing. But
so you always started as kind of like the prod kind of side.
Always on the prod side. Like I think for me, it started like around here actually. Fabric, I was just I'm just talking about the clubbing days, when I was like 14, 15, 16, trying to get into Fabric, to see Hazard and DJ Hype, and that was like fundamental like inspiration, it's like getting on the train at 6 a.m. going home.
Wow.
Just full of just like
buzzing,
full of all sorts of stuff.
But
Still
inspiration
is
listening to
right
the tracks.
100%. And then getting into vinyls and DJing, and then eventually getting Reason 2.5.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. People are like, what?
Big up Reason.
Big up Reason. Big up
Reason.
Propeller And just messing around on that, just trying to just make stuff that gassed me and my friends that we can play in the car.
Yeah.
Sick, bad.
It was definitely at that stage like a lot of drum and bass, like early dubstep and quite hard stuff.
Yeah.
Just being that age.
Are you still on kind of like that? Do you kind of venture in and out of different kind of waves? So the songs that I've kind of listened to just in a car and just having a vibe to yourself with a little bit more on the R&B spectrum as well.
Yeah.
Right?
I was really lucky. Like when I was around like uni time, I got a job in a studio working for a producer who was doing a lot of stuff more in the pop spectrum, so like more X Factor, like totally different to what I was doing. But I was brought in as like an assistant, and I've got to say, like I learned so much just like about, you know, how a pop song should be. Do you know what I mean? Or like what people were going for, and there was, you know, a lot of formulas and stuff like that. But just like observing that,
which is
vocal recording, yeah, exactly, man. But you know, I think for me it was invaluable because it sort of gave my stuff a little bit more, like I understood structure of a song a little bit more, the verses, pre's, choruses and stuff like that. And, you know, incorporating that back into the harder stuff is something I've always tried to like ride the wave between. Do you know what I mean? It's just like songs, but that have drive. Yeah. It's kind of what I've ended up saying over the years.
And function and a story sometimes as well, right? Not just because, but I don't know. I listen to a lot more of like the poppy kind of. Is it poppy drum and bass, like Chasing Status? And stuff? Which is sick. Which I feel like is kind of a story as well. Yeah, like sometimes. But I know what you mean. Kind of like blending of the two to create that story. That's interesting.
I mean, I wish I could do it to that, like to the Chasing Status level. But yeah, it's somewhere I heard, you know, in the realm of in between those things. You know what I mean? Because I look at some artists like, you know, the Chasing Status guys, or you know, Noisier were a big inspiration when I grew up. That, you know, the Dutch kind of like just intricate, like very scientific around like sculpting sounds and stuff like that. And it almost scared me away from delving too much into that genre. You know, I was just like, oh God, that's almost like a science. You know, I need to keep it in the realm of just like feelings. You know, like that was more tangible to me than sound design on a really deep level. So as much as I love drum and bass and all of that stuff, I'm still in awe of it, but I'm not trying to be that, you know. It's like somewhere in the middle.
For sure. Yeah, it's interesting for me hearing that you saying you started out doing the more dancey stuff, because when I similar to maybe what you listened to, when I discovered you was in like, I actually had a check to see when it was 2016 when you did that EP, I think it was, or I can't remember if it was an album, the white one.
Yeah, Night Days, yeah.
And I was in a production duo at the time, and we sucked. And I heard that, and I was like, that was like the pinnacle of like music for me. That was what we were trying to do, what you were doing at that time.
That's a huge honor for you to say that.
Yeah, honestly, man. And it was a big inspiration, yeah. So, and then obviously kind of a full circle moment was like later on when I did my own thing, and then you very kindly said that you would remix my song The Way Things Were, which for me, I was like, flip, this guy's like famous, like he's going to do my remix. And then I feel like sort of more recently you've moved sort of maybe more back in towards the sort of dance space, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not going to I sound a bit of like a broken record, just talking about like the COVID era and stuff, but I had to pull everything.
No, man, it's difficult.
Well, for musicians, it's just like, it was a difficult time. Yeah. And I had to pull everything back home because I was spending all this money on rent, on studios and stuff. It just felt like the tap had turned off in terms of like the size of artists I was normally working with were like the momentum, up and comers, you know what I mean? So for them, people suddenly not to be able to do like the small shows in London or around, just felt like, I had to sort of take a step back. And so I think inevitably that led to a lot more just solo project stuff, you know, less collaborations for a bit.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just a natural sort of result, I think, really of that. But you know, I'm trying to get back into that sort of like consistent collaborative setup, you know. Yeah. Again, which is.
But it's hard.
It's hard. It's hard because the whole industry's changed. Everyone's different now. Everyone's sort of on their own like individual thing. You know? It's just like, what are they doing? What are they putting out on social media? And it's
yeah, you're right. I never kind of realized how much of a, like I did obviously, but never really thought about it properly, how much of an impact it did to stop the momentum of so many different artists, like, including myself too. But I had to take a step back and go, you know.
I think most people did. Yeah.
No, it's like I've always said, like the target's always moving. Do you know what I mean? Like what are you actually trying to achieve? And like when I started out, it was like I feel like fortunate, like right place, right time kind of thing. I was working hard, but like I also had certain things in place, like big ups, like Majestic Casual.
Oh my
and,
days!
The YouTube
that was
channels.
the one.
Yeah, like those people. that was a catalyst for like.
That was the one.
putting.
Oh, bro,
It was just like the YouTube era of like YouTube.
Is it the mahogany?
like
Exactly,
mixes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Suicide Sheep and
Yeah,
like
It was like early Snake
Suicide
Hips and
Sheep.
stuff.
yeah, exactly. That kind of era was when I was like coming up.
Yeah.
And, there were platforms like that you could launch stuff through.
And SoundCloud and stuff.
And
was bigger
SoundCloud
then,
was
right?
there as well, and then I mean, all the music that was coming out through them was from SoundCloud, really. So
Right.
it was the SoundCloud era.
Yeah, man.
And
Good times.
yeah, then and that's obviously shifted. Do you know what I mean? So like now it's TikTok and
Now it's
like,
social media.
Social media.
This is one thing we brought up a lot during the podcast is how that kind of found its space within what we're doing as musicians and how we kind of navigate that scene.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just as difficult. And I felt like when people took a step back within kind of lockdown in that COVID place, then we were like, cool, how do we still engage with people and writing and stuff? And social media was that platform.
Yeah.
And I feel like then people were like, well, I can still do this.
Yeah.
And kind of attract a bigger audience.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not a social master king.
Well, no, I mean,
social media king.
yeah, it's like that's the challenge these days, is becoming sort of one of those, as well as being a super talented musician. You need to
hard, man.
you need to sort of, you can't just be one or the other. Or arguably, like, if you're better at selling yourself on social media, like, you could probably get away with putting out some pretty average music and still doing pretty well.
But you can't do it the
True,
other way.
but you can't do it the other way. There's a lot of talented people in a basement or in a cellar, in a, like, top floor room in a whatever.
Yeah.
Who are super talented.
Yeah.
Amazing guitar licks, and they'll just
But
they'll get sampled on a Fred Again track or something, and then not get credited properly. No, not
Yeah, mate, I know.
But you know what I'm saying.
I completely know what you mean. I know what you mean. And it's
Yeah.
difficult. Like, I've been really trying to balance that of trying to get on social media. There's a couple of artists that I can't remember who did it. There was is it John Bellingham or something? He released, like, he's the one who.
Oh,
did,
John Bellion.
Yes,
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Bellion.
He's dope.
I think he's doing like a grassroots kind of marketing thing for his upcoming album and stuff.
Nice.
I heard it through the grapevine, or someone told me.
Yeah.
But he's doing like an emailing list, and he's not on social media as much, and kind of like doing that
dream.
grassroots.
Yeah.
And I feel like a couple of artists have done that recently.
Yeah.
And it could be going back that way.
Yeah.
Of, like, when you're on social media and you're following someone, for me, I don't feel like I'm connected to them because of the amount of people that are out there on the social media. But if I got an email from someone.
Yeah.
You're
Mailing
in the
lists are
inner
massive,
circle.
man, still. They're so really important.
I feel like, and WhatsApp communities and stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel
Discord
like
as well is another one,
there's some
more
like creative
kind of-
ways that we can kind of get out there without using social media. Fingers crossed.
Definitely.
There's a duo, I think they're from Netherlands, called Weevil. They put out a track recently called Dopamine, and I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I saw their whole campaign. They had a small, intimate group of people come into like a studio, and they did like a listening party there and then in a studio with people sitting on sofas and stuff, and like they could ask them, what do you think? Do you think they should be faster, louder, whatever? I thought that was really cool.
That's
you know,
really cool, man.
that was, so just stuff like that's fresh.
Yeah.
You know, and because otherwise,
Massively.
yeah, similar to like how things come and go with like the Majestic Casuals and like the YouTube channel and different phases, like. When something new pops up, it's like, do I really want to give all my energy to that now?
Yeah.
Because that's going to change at some point. And then I've given all my energy to that, and once that era's over, you're sort of stuck with it a little bit. So I think connecting with people, mailing lists, like more personal kind of connection, is 100% so important. Yeah. And like when during COVID, I started a Twitch stream.
Nice.
And I've got to say, like, even though the numbers of viewers were pretty low, but like they are some of the like most valuable fans I think I have, because they're commenting on all the things I put out.
Yeah.
Guy from Hong Kong sent me his vinyl because he makes music as well.
Dope.
Big up DJ Soy.
DJ Soy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, just a couple of those guys there, so when you have that personal connection, just, it's just such a difference, man.
Yeah, man. Massively.
That's wicked. So, SoundCloud era.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, would you say that's middle of the story?
Oh, that's early days.
That's early days.
Yeah, that's
so you
early
started
days.
releasing stuff on SoundCloud and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I'm sitting back. What was the next part then?
I mean, I at some point I had to give up my job working for the guy I was working for, like doing that, studio life, because my career was starting. I had a track out with Amber Simone, my first ever record, which was called At Your Touch. That was back in 2013. And and then I started renting a studio in Psalm, which was in Portobello,
Nice.
the old Psalm, which is Trevor Horn's old building. And again, it's just like Lyndon J was knocking around, Shift Key was knocking around.
Oh, Lyndon
you know,
J,
they're all
man.
just like, I just feel like, yeah, I'm just proud to have been like, even just to say hi to these guys like in the hallway, just to see what they're doing now.
Yeah, that's sick.
And yeah, that was the next stage. And then moving from different studios, I eventually found myself in a spot in Kensal Rise, which was just like a little 3-unit kind of falling apart sort of room. And I was there for like almost, got to say like 7 or 8 years, it must have been.
Was that the Frank Moody's spot?
And that's where I moved in the studio with Frank Moody next door. And we were managed by the same people, Becky and Adam. And I'm very lucky to have such good management.
Have you been with them consistently throughout, or
pretty much?
Amazing.
I have. That's
dope.
They're a management company, right?
So yes, Becky and Adam. Yeah, they started a company called Juicebox, and they've parted ways since amicably. It's all fine. But like at the time, it was the best team in the world.
Sick, man.
You know, I could really be hands off with a lot of the stuff that I wasn't good at, and I could trust them that they were gonna do what was right for me and what was best for the project. You know,
that's what that relationship is, trust, right? And it's hard to build that, especially if you're jumping between different managements and stuff. But we're very blessed. So I had a manager for quite a long time as well. So very blessed to be able to find someone that we can stick with, which is cool. And during that, like those studio times, was it? Tell me if I overstepped with the questions, by the way. But was it like, did you get a publishing deal, or was it a label that you signed to be able to kind of fund that, or was Spotify revenue coming through at that time?
Yeah, I did a couple of deals with AWOL, which were like distribution deals, which was like sort of smallish advance. It was, it was a decent amount of money, but it was, it was like, this needs to recoup, and like I need, it needs to get done, and which thankfully it did.
Nice.
And I got another one, and
so really good. Perfect.
It was pretty straightforward in that sense, like.
And you're working with like different artists and stuff to jump on your projects.
Yeah.
What was there like many solo albums? Was it like solo EPs? Was it mostly collaborative?
It was mostly collaborative. Like at the start, I was just doing like a lot of working with up and coming singers who had like, I just looking for singers with good tones, who just had something exciting. When you first hear them, the voice like
boom.
Doesn't even need to like, be a specific lyric. It's just like that tone. Do you know what I mean? And got lucky, like found Kaleem Taylor, Sam Wills, Pip Millett,
Sam Wills, Soul,
and Sophie as well.
Sophie Faith. Later, I mean, there's so many people, so many talented people who are coming through, and that was just through like hearing people on SoundCloud and being like, "Yep, let's reach out to them and see if they want to get in."
A quick email, they'll pop round like the next week.
Yeah,
man.
And like just having put 1 or 2 things out that we're doing things at the moment just got people through the door, and then it was just like, can you nail something down? Can you finish an idea that you start and get them excited? And
So the management helped with getting those on like Spotify playlists and stuff like that as well. But was it, I guess, the collaborative thing, which is really helpful? I might be wrong here, but getting different artists on, you can also kind of touch on their fans as well and build this kind of like
100%.
This
100%.
This collab space, which is lovely.
I mean, I found like when I did sessions with people who had a bigger following, the pressure usually led to like less of a hit rate. And when I was working with someone who was just like had an exciting voice and were hungry and hadn't got much out, they're a little bit more open to your suggestions as well. Do you know what I mean? And
instead of fitting their puzzle, which they've already kind of
because in your last episode, you guys were talking about writing for other people. And I think as singers, or as do you play guitar as well?
Try and play guitar.
You're mainly a vocalist.
Mainly a vocalist. Yeah.
He's a very competent guitarist. He's playing it down.
I like rhythm.
Rhythm. I think like being a producer, you are more malleable. Do you know what I mean? You have just a lot of sounds that you can sort of tap into just through technology and stuff like that.
True.
And so being open to other people's inspiration, listening to people, and like just trying to, I don't know, find a middle ground. It's the easiest way of saying it.
That was the exciting part for me of jumping in with different producers. So I was lucky enough to be signed with BMG when I was like early stages of the career, and I got to write with some incredible artists like Ed as well, and being able to go into a different studio. That's what I love being an artist and going to other people's studios, is that I got to go and meet all these different people, all these different sounds, the way that they were working, learn from them. But then, as you said, try and find a middle ground between what I was into that day, be it Bon Iver or D'Angelo, and go in and go half with them and be like, oh yeah, but you like heavy synths, and then try and find like a groovy kind of like, and that's what I really loved, and I learned so much with writing that way.
I mean, those references make sense, man, when I listen to your stuff.
Mate, fingers crossed, man. Like, if I could ever do half of what they do, but no, I love groove, and I love emotion. If I can do like a groovy, if I can meet those two in the middle somehow and do Bon Iver and a D'Angelo album at the same time, like cry on the record, but it being groovy as fuck, I will be incredibly happy.
think you will then be famous. I think we'll have to stop the podcast because you'll be famous at that point.
Because I'll be famous.
Yeah.
I always said...
Emotive and driving are just two great things.
There you go.
Just, they're
same thing you were saying.
If you achieve that, you've got a good record.
You want to win it,
I kind of always get confused when I'm trying to write a song or something, because as an artist who kind of, you know, went from pop and blah, 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 and kind of being named different things. And I remember one of the reasons why I got signed to Insanity Records with Sony is because I told the A&R dude I wanted to be the new Justin Timberlake. And he was like...
I can imagine you saying that.
I can get into that. Yeah. No.
I was like, babe, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm sold. Give him as much as he wants.
Not turn out, because then I started writing sad songs. And he was like, I'm pretty sure... And I just had a day of listening to Suit and Tie.
I was like, I want that.
But kind of like being pigeonholed with like different people's idea of who you are. So then when I started writing, we talked about this before you came in actually, of trying to write for yourself or trying to write to what people imagine you to be. Have you do you kind of feel like that? Like when you were writing the SoundCloud era and you were really inspired about all those DJs going to Fabric and you were like, yeah, that's sick. I want to push the boundary doing that. And then now you kind of get me and Ed turn up on a podcast and go, oh yeah, but you do more like R&B, and then you do you kind of like, I don't know, do you battle with that or?
Oh, totally. Like I'm making music all the time. Like 99% of it doesn't come out. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, you just, I'm always making stuff to see what excites me, you know? So it's like, like an hour on an idea, move on, start something else. It's like turning up to the gym. Do you know what I mean? You're not always going to have a good day. You're not always going to be your strongest person, but as long as you turn up, do the reps, you know, and then you listen back to those ideas, and if there's anything that sort of just like, you know, when you come at it with fresh ears, that gives you just that thing, then you know, do you know what I mean? You've got to just keep going with it.
So you're a guy, because this is interesting as well, because I've spoken to a couple of people about how their writing process and if they listen to it afterwards. Some people go straight in, they know exactly what they want, they write it, they record it, they go, boom.
I don't get it.
Right? I don't get it. I have to like record a little voice memo last night, listen to it today. Yesterday, it was crying. Like today, I'm like, shit.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Never recording that ever again in my entire life. So you're right. So you kind of do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You listen to it the next day.
Sometimes I'm really excited about it. Come back to it. I'm like, oh God, what have I done?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's like, oh, that thing I turned off early yesterday, I've actually like turned it on for the first time today, and it's got something. I need to go back in. You know.
So you play all instruments then?
No, I'm I'm a keys player. Like I like just using my ear just to sort of
soundscape,
you know, lead me the way, you know. Honestly, I feel like the best stuff I've done has just been through being at my desk and just sticking and just putting the hours in, man. Because it's not like, it doesn't sound great straight away, but then
if you just push through
and you come up, you know, you get a basic idea down and it doesn't sound that exciting, but then you find the sounds and you develop them, and then suddenly it becomes something totally different.
I really like the analogy of the gym thing, right? Because like if I go to the gym and I spend a couple of days at the gym, I'm not going to see any results. But what people I feel like respect when I see some good shoulders on the dude, I'm like, I respect the amount of hours you put into getting those shoulders. Up. Exactly, you turned up. So when I listen to a song and you can tell the ones that have been bashed out in 15 minutes or the ones that have really like, there's this minimum, like I still listen to Voodoo now, and I still listen to these things right in the background with different headphones on, and I'm like, I didn't even know that was there. So like all of those little things, 100 different layers that makes it sound a record.
That's it. It takes time.
Like that analog.
Yeah, man.
Someone said it recently. It's like there's too much microwaved stuff these days. You know, not enough slow cooked.
You're right.
There's a lot of microwaving going on.
Yeah,
a lot of splicing, a lot of AI.
You know.
Yeah.
Man, I splice for the best of them.
Look,
I'm not opposed to a splice.
I'm not turning my nose up at that. Like, you know, these are all tools we can use, but I think, it means that there is a lot more microwave stuff.
Yeah,
you know, you've got to sift through, you know, to find the good, you know, slow cooked. Nice, like, you know, 24 hours on that bad boy.
Yeah, so a bit of miso in there. Yeah.
Exactly. What's slow cooking at the minute then?
Ooh, nice.
Oh, see what you did there?
Oh. This guy, honestly, every now and then he just comes out with the smoothest shit.
Woo! Yeah. I've got
what's in my slow cooking?
Like while I'm sweating.
I mean, there's a lot of music. Like, I'm involved with other people's projects as well. Like, I've been heavily involved with Frank Moody's latest album, more in a mixing kind of thing. But a little bit of ad prod and just helping people finish records. And then there's another girl, Leah Rose, who has just signed to the same management company as me.
Nice. Sweet.
And so I've been working with her. And she's got an EP, which is really exciting.
Dope.
A couple other sort of dancey bits I've got in the pipeline, mainly probably going to be singles.
Nice, man.
And you
kind of go on. Sorry.
How do you? I was going to say, how do you find? Because I haven't talked to James Barclay about this, who's also like an artist producer. How do you finding the balance between the artist producer thing? Like, are you in your head? Are you like just like doing both, which I'd say is probably where I'm at, or are you like, oh, I wish I was doing more production stuff, or I wish I was doing more artist stuff?
I think, like, what gasses me is just being involved with good records. Like,
nice.
This podcast is like, am I famous yet? Right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever wanted to be famous, but I've wanted to make impactful music.
Right.
You know, like I wanted the records to be famous.
Yeah.
Because like once I had one of those, like it was just so powerful. Like when you get a message from someone at 2:00 in the morning in Japan.
Yeah.
In Japanese.
Yeah.
Saying, I was listening to this today and I was dancing with my friends. Or like I got a message the other day from someone who had lost a friend.
Mate.
And, you know, they used to listen to one of my tracks in the car and it was like a time capsule for them. Do you know what I mean? So that, do you know what I mean? That's way more powerful than like making the record.
Yeah.
Or being worried whether the record's good enough.
Or numbers or whatever.
It's like the record's been out for 5 years and you get that message.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
That's the best thing.
That's all I want. You know what I mean?
100%, man.
Sick,
yeah.
man.
Totally agree.
I want to write an album now.
Yeah. Get loads of messages about it.
That's so good.
Yeah. No, you're right there, man. I mean, that's something we mentioned before as well, I think, is that how important that stuff is to us. Someone reaches out and just says. And I think that what's mad for me, and I think I said this at the time, so apologies to the regular listeners, but I think what's so amazing about that is that, you know, we all love music. We love making it. We do it for the joy of it and what have you. We go into a room, make something, you know, whether it's with someone or not. We make this thing just basically for ourselves, like for our own enjoyment, just because we love it.
Yeah.
And the fact that that thing can bring someone else like comfort, I just find absolutely mind-blowing.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's nuts.
Because you can just be like, I don't know if I like this anymore. I don't know if I want to put this out.
Yeah,
You know.
I remember I wrote a song like ages ago and it never surfaced, and there was this one guy that I lived with at the time and he loved it and he loved it and I was like, are you sure? Like, and it resonated with him so much, but then like I think it must have been 8 years later, because it was like last year that he messaged me. He was like, oh, we've still got that track. We haven't talked since, like we haven't talked in that 8 years. And he messaged me, he was like, mate, sorry, random one out of the blue, but I really want to hear that track again. And you're right, like that
really stuck with him. Like,
Jeez, Zach, I want to hear that track.
Have you got it? Did you find the demo?
Here it is now.
Oh,
I think, it was on like an old voice memo phone. I know. But no, that resonating with people is beautiful. And I think we haven't touched the topic of famous yet, and kind of like what fame means to you as well. But I guess we kind of got our question. But have you ever felt famous?
Yeah, has anything happened where you've been like, ooh, that's pretty cool?
I mean, like when you go on, you know, I've been on tour and then you play a show and people know who you are. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's mental.
It is crazy.
That's
like I did an Asia tour and you know, I went to China. And that was like amazingly eye-opening, you know what I mean? Because you're so far from home, but people want to come up and take a photo.
Oh, hey.
And I think the fandom is different out there as well, right? In places, you played in Japan.
I played in Japan. I played in like in this club which was about 150 cap, like 12 floors above Harajuku.
Mad.
Best night of my life, man.
Yeah.
It was an absolute peak moment.
Yeah.
100%. Just like such good energy.
Yeah.
To Thailand, like
Nuts.
Seoul as well was amazing. Played at a club called Soap, which is just like, I've not felt energy like that since, Fabric days. You know what I mean? Just people just loving it.
Yeah. And I think they really appreciate. This is another thing that's like mad in my head because it benefits both people. They really love it when you go over there.
Yeah.
Like, I've been lucky enough to have a sort of a small fan base in Japan.
Yeah.
And they, whenever I do posts, they're like, please come back to Japan and stuff like this. And I've just announced that I am going back, which would be awesome.
Come on.
In June, which would be cool. But yeah, again, it's like you go out there, you get invited or / even paid to like play your music the other side of the world and travel. Unreal and do this gig the other side of the world, amazing. And then they in turn are like buzzing that you've come from the other side of the world to play for them. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's another amazing kind of two-way street.
Amazing place. Yeah.
And the fans are just nuts. I feel like they're just UK and especially London and stuff is a bit more like reserved, People are like, oh yeah, that was cool, man. Yeah, it was cool. It was decent.
Well, we're doing good.
Yeah, whereas those guys like, oh my god, that was amazing. Please can I have a picture and here's a present and can you sign this?
Yeah,
here's a present. Yeah,
they're good presents, man.
Mate, that's so dope.
I've had that. I've definitely had that in London before, where I've gone to a show and I don't think people know who I am, so I'm gonna just play like I'm DJing, so I'm gonna just play a lot of other people's music and I'm gonna try and please everyone. Yeah. And then a girl came up to me at the end and goes, I didn't hear one Joe Hertz record. I'll never make that mistake ever again. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like even wherever you are in the world, just play your stuff.
Play the hits. Even if I'm playing a cover gig and they're paying me to do a cover gig, I'll still throw one of mine in there.
Yeah. My guy.
Because I'm just
100%. Even if you're on the warm-up gig, no one knows who you are.
That's exactly the same as me. I once did it, and I think this guy left halfway through my set because he realised I wasn't playing any of my songs. And
that's the kind of thing that makes you want to go home and like scream into your pillow. Do you mean like what am I doing?
Yeah. Like there was like 100 people, but 99 people didn't get like they just wanted me to sing like No Diggity again in the 60s time. But this guy wanted to hear the song that I wrote in my bedroom, like that resonated with him, and I think that's fucking cool. And regardless of what Fame is, I'm changing the podcast name. I'm changing it. We know what Fame is now. So it's not Am I Famous yet? It's resonating with people. It doesn't matter if you're 150 people, and that's the best night of his life, he said.
Am I resonating yet? Yeah. It doesn't really have the same ring to it.
Am I famous yet? We'll keep it.
We'll keep it. Because
it is interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
It is interesting to talk about, like...
it's a weird concept,
No, I think keep it, because it's the conversation. Do you know what I mean?
And also, we're not, like what we keep saying is like, does it matter? And everyone just says no. Do you know what I mean? It's like, am I famous yet? No, but I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and someone sent me this message, and so I'm good.
Yeah.
Problem with fame, problem with chasing fame, right? Is that like at some point you're going to get less famous.
Yeah.
Argue. Do you know what I mean? Like there's going to be a peak and a trough.
I'd imagine so. Yeah.
And the emotional baggage that comes with that.
Yeah.
Like, if you know that that's going to happen in the first place, like what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Like you should be pursuing happiness and like stability. Not to sound like a boring kind of
no, totally.
But finding your lane and finding your comfort zone. Yeah. And obviously, there's going to be challenges, and they're really important to face and stuff like that. But I just think
there's more important things.
No, mate, I'm with you. And I think that's why we wanted to talk about it, because I was always kind of chasing whatever that dream was, and I've had the peaks and the troughs and blah, blah, blah. And for me, you're right. It's trying to find stability, trying to find happiness in what you do, regardless if that is releasing a song every day, regardless if that is releasing songs on social media and just writing mediocre tracks to some people, but the best tracks to other people, it doesn't really matter.
100%.
So songs coming up in the future, anything you want to push out? Any shows coming up in London?
This will be the end of May, by the way. So imagine that it's the end of May.
I mean, I've got a lot of stuff going on in my life on a personal level, so I'm not doing that many shows now. But if something pops up, like I'll let you know on social media for sure. Like mainly at the moment, it's focusing on helping people finish records. Like this girl Leah Rose, she'll have a project out this year.
You produce the whole thing?
Yeah, just mixing and helping her finish it.
Dope.
But she's got some really cool tracks on there, which, we've got some stuff together as well. So, I'm very excited about that.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Mate, absolute bloody pleasure.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
coming
guys
on,
for having me on.
It's, as I said, I've heard your name many of times throughout my career, and it's beautiful to sit down with you and talk honestly about it.
It's been fun.
So it's been great.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
Wicked.
Big ups.
Big up.